So this is just, I want to give some hints and some guidelines on how to capture images for this optical character recognition, or OCR. The quality of the image that you put in, that you capture, is going to very much determine the quality of the text extracted. So if you have a very good image, you should have almost no errors. Very likely you have no errors in your text. If your image is blurry, if the lines are curved, if it's an old image, you know, I think that it's not going to work very well. Certainly, if it's ume, I think it's not going to work at all. If you have a pecha, you probably should use the BDRC version, um, because that's what I'm looking at mostly in this is I'm set up mostly for new books that are set in modern type. So the pages are very clean and new, and I can take a picture of them quite clearly. And then that works very well. If you get to these older books, pages, these things, or if you don't take a good image, the character recognition, this text extraction is not going to work very well. Let me show you some examples here. Sorry to my friends, if you don't want me to call you out here, I won't say your names. I'm using some user examples that I pulled from the sessions on the files. Um, so let me show you first let me show you the goal. I mean, the absolute goal is for your text to look like this, right? So this is a screenshot of a PDF in the computer. So it's not even a photograph, right? This is the ideal. So the text is very clear. It's cropped. Well, you don't want to crop. Of course, you have to be careful. You don't want to crop these vowels. But one important point is that you should try to crop the header titles and the page numbers and possibly the notes unless you're really interested in them, because the problem is that the when you go to translate it, that's all kind of run together as text, and I think it sometimes confuses the models, particularly the header titles. They try to translate them in the flow of the text. Now the models are getting better, and sometimes they recognize. I've noticed lately they recognize the footnotes as footnotes, but unless you need them, I would just crop everything out so it's really just getting the text you want, right? So this is cropped well. And what I mean by that is, like, it's if we look at a PDF here. Let's see, is this going to be useful? No, that's not helpful. That doesn't have. Let's look at a PDF that has, right, so this has these header titles. These PDFs often have header titles and pages. So what you want to make sure you do is that you crop out this title up here, the Nangbe Tinikikor, and the letter. So if I were to, I'm not sure it's going to let me select. Will it let me select? Well, if I were to try to crop it, I would crop just the body of the text out. So let me show you what I mean here. If I am cropping this to paste into the app, right, it's tempting just to crop this whole page. And you can do that, and then you could crop it in the app. Or if you're coming just from a PDF, you ought to just crop it, right? You ought to just crop it here. And so you get a nice page with just the text that you're interested in translating. If you come down here and you catch some footnotes, or if you catch this title up here like that, it can confuse the model. So anyway, this is the ideal, right? You want it to look like this. Of course, when we're taking pictures of physical books, it doesn't always work that way. Let me show you some examples from users whose names I won't name. Right, so the first two I'll show you are, well, I'll show you one that's acceptable, that's a photograph. So this is a photograph, and this worked pretty well. It's got some notes on it. The OCR seemed to pretty well ignore it. You know, it's got a title page. It's got a title here. You know, in the flow of things in this text, this is very clearly a title because it's literally at the beginning of a book. So I actually think you could OCR that no problem. In fact, let's just drop it in here, and we'll just go ahead and use it on the desktop app, right? So here you go, you've got that. Now in the desktop app, you could crop it. So if I wanted to crop out the title, which is usually what I'm talking about is those page header titles, you'd want to crop them out. Here I think because it's literally a book title at the beginning of the book, I don't think it matters. So this crop is okay. I mean, I don't think you could come in a little bit, but I don't think it actually matters too much. You don't want to come in directly next to it. Then you crop and extract. And there is a new feature that I think will be in prod soon. If it's not in prod, is it will actually give you some feedback on the quality of the error. When I send this to Google Vision actually gives me confidence for all of its spans that it's extracting. So this one it liked. OCR is unlikely. That's good, right? So it's basically thinking that it has 100% confidence for all of the characters it extracted. So that worked well. And that was an actual photograph. Let's look at this one. Okay, so this is one from one of my wonderful testers. And so you can see here, if you look, the focus is a little blurry. Focus is blurry. The lines are not straight. Obviously, this is a book sat here like this, right, where you've got the curve, and that means that the cameras are going to probably focus only on part of the page because of the depth. So what you have to do when you take a photo of a page is kind of hold one side up so the other side stays straight. And then you can get a photo, and it's a little annoying. You can do something like this, where you sort of crop. You can use a coffee cup or something, but you want it straight, both because the lines need to be straight, and also because if you have that curve, the camera actually often is not focusing properly because it's probably got too much of a depth of field effect. So let's see what happens if we put this one in our curved and blurry. All right. So now you can see, now it's warning us. This photo looks blurry. So it's done just a little bit of a pre-processing to decide. So it's warning you that this photo is probably not going to result in a very clean extract. Now, the truth is it actually does quite well these days. I mean, it'll come out. So you can see here it says an average overall confidence of 98.7. And what that means is that every word, every span that it's recognizing, it gives you a confidence level. And so the average confidence is 98.7. But in practice, what that probably means is there's a whole bunch of spans that are like 199 and then some spans that are really low. So you've got, based on the average span, there's a number of estimated errors expected, right? This is just an estimation based on this confidence level, right? So even at 98.7, which sounds quite good, and is quite good. I mean, this would have been amazing just 5 years ago. You're expecting 3 to 4 errors, some number of errors in this text down here. So one of the new features is it can show you it becomes non-editable when I show it to you, unfortunately, but you can show you the places where the Google, they're highlighting low confidence and very low confidence. It's highlighting the places where Google's confidence in that span dropped. You can go back to edit. So that's super helpful. So, I mean, the truth is 98.7 is pretty good for that image, but in terms of reading and things where you really want 100% confidence, it's not ideal. So here's another one that we looked at. Oh, here's another one we can look at. Now this one, from another wonderful friend, is clearly an old book. It's more handwritten. Actually, it looks like a handwritten text, and it's kind of faded. So I expect this is not going to do very well at all. I did recently add the ability to use Dharma Mitra. Dharma Mitra, unfortunately, doesn't give us any of this confidence information, but I believe they're using something derived from BDRC, so it might handle these older texts better. That was one of the reasons that my understanding that BDRC and those guys did their own OCR engine was so that it would work with old text and Pecha text, because Google Vision is very good for modern texts. So let's just see what happens if we do this with Google Vision. Right, so 98.4. Now this is its guess. Now this doesn't mean that it's right. When it's 100% confidence, it could still be wrong. Remember that, like don't think, oh, just because it was confident it's right. But what is this? Bolinba gelchesung. Bolinba gelchesung. Tela ningbo linba la. Tela ningbo limbo la. Tokmar. So, it did pretty good considering how poor this photograph is. But there's definitely going to be some errors. And so you can get it to highlight the errors and then maybe check your book. If you're sitting here with your book, the easiest thing is probably to look at the book that you took the photo of and go back and look at that. So, right. So that's the thing. So what you're shooting for is, here's another example, something like this. I mean, this is okay, right? You can see there's a little bit of shadowing. It's a little bit curvy, but this is totally fine. It'll totally work. We can put this in there. And just to be clear, right, I am dragging and dropping these on the desktop because it's easier to show you. But these are photos I took with my mobile in previous sessions that I'm just using as examples. So you can crop and extract. Right, so it thinks no errors. It's errors unlikely, right? So basically 100% overall confidence means that every span that it had, it decided it was very confident. It was 100% confident that it got that span right. Could be wrong, but it's very confident about it. Let's see, is there anything else about... Oh, yeah, so one other thing I want to mention is that the native app... Actually, let me bring up the screen copy real quick so you can see. One thing I will say is that I have when you open the app, right, I have this built-in camera. There is this built-in camera app, right? So you're seeing here that the text, like, you don't want to do that. That's not going to work. You want to, I can show you. You want to kind of lift the page up, and that might be okay. And ideally, right, you have to kind of hold it down. I mean, it's kind of awkward, unfortunately. You have to hold it down, and you can take a picture. And you can take a picture like this. And then what you want to do is crop away. I mean, this picture is not ideal, right, because it's still a little blurry, but you want to try to crop away that top part, that top header line. And so we can see what will happen here, right? It's catching these words on the left, which I think is going to confuse it. And so that's probably not ideal, but let's see what happens just out of curiosity. To this sync. We'll look at it. Right, so 4 OCR errors expected, 98%. So 6 low confidence, 3 very low confidence. You can go through here and you can see what it's not liking. So, there's some errors that it didn't like. I would say looking at this image, because it has this section on the left, I would say you'd have to really check and make sure it didn't capture those texts and stick them in somewhere. That's one of the real problems. You have to try to avoid that. All right, so what you want to do, and what you can do is you can crop it out. So, yeah, it's tricky. I mean, you got to kind of do something like that. Hold it up and see if you can get it to where you can crop it out. That's a little better. That's probably going to do us a little better. I mean, it's still curved, right? But it's sharp. And I think that's going to be the main thing. So what did this do? Okay, so it really liked this. OCR is unlikely. Oh, the other thing I was going to show you that I wanted to show you, there is this built-in, I'm using the built-in app here, or the app. I'm using the built-in camera in my app. Now what you can do is you can hit this select file button. And at least on Android, I don't know what this will do on Windows, but this brings up the option, one, for me to take a picture with the default camera app, and then to select a file, so I could select the file I've already taken. If you're having trouble getting sharp images with the camera that is built into my app, use your default camera app, because it's going to be a lot more sophisticated. It's going to have a lot more sensing capabilities. It's going to probably sometimes results in a sharper, better focused, better stabilized photo. I want to make this distinction between what I was saying is the native camera app and the capture camera in my app itself, right? So when I mean what I'm talking about is the capture or the camera app in my application. It's this screen, this capture, the thing that comes up when you've got a new session and you can see, oh, hey, there's a book, right? You got that. You can see it on the screen, right? So it's the basic screen that comes up when you're taking a photo within my application. Now the thing is that sometimes this does not focus as well as the camera application that just is your normal camera application when you're taking photos on your phone. So if instead of that, say we go here to what's just called camera on my phone, right? So this is just what I would use to take photos on my phone. I don't remember what it's called on Mac these days or on iPhone these days, but I'm sure it's probably cleverly called camera or something. So that's the difference. So the workflow there would be, right, you would take the photo with your camera, the phone's native camera application. So I've taken a photo. It's in my gallery. And so then what you can do is from this screen, instead of using the camera or capture within my application, you're going to click select file. And then you can go here, you have the choice between camera and files. I don't know what that will do on an iPhone, if that's going to give you the same choice. If you do camera, then you could just go use this native camera application or this default camera application to take the photo right there. But since I've already taken the photo, what I can do is see, here's my gallery. I can select it, and now I've got the photo that I took with the camera's default or native camera application. I've got it there, and then I can crop it and extract it. Right, so that's important, because sometimes the capture screen, the camera that's within my application when you're on my web app, sometimes that's not as good as the camera application that's native to your phone, that's the default for your phone that you use to take pictures just when you're going around. So just like I did, what you can do is you could take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 photos at a time and then import them. But you want to take them with your camera application on your phone and then import them using we'll just go back to retake, right? Then you import them with the select file button instead of using the capture button. So anyway, I hope that helps. The quality of the image that you input is going to determine the quality of the text extraction. And the more errors, some of these pages have errors in them, and these books have errors in them, typos in them anyway, right? So the more errors you have in that, then the more confusing the downstream translation is going to get.